Yo, what's going on, guys? It's your boy Redux What Ifs, and today I have a special what if. Well, it's really not special. I just like saying special what if because that's like been my staple for like the longest time for real. But we're finna get into it. This is gonna be what if Superman was an Invincible Part 3. Now, this one might be a little bit longer because honestly, I feel like that some of the stuff that does happen after Battle Beast is kind of filler, but it's not at the same time. So we're just gonna, I might put this as a season finale, 4 parts, and then I might do a season 1 movie completion, right? So if y'all don't want to feel like watching it in parts, y'all can just click the movie and then watch it all together. And then after I finish that, I'll be watching season 2 of Invincible, so I could put season 2 what ifs on there too. But there are some few things that we're gonna do, which is gonna make it amazing and everything. And yeah, we're just gonna hop right into that. So without any further ado, this is part 4 / season finale. I don't know yet, but I think I might go to season finale. All right, but this is just gonna be part 4. I'll probably put that as the title. So yeah, without any further ado, let's get into the what if.
Bang, rock ain't fall. I been sitting around, been in touch, working like a pro. Chill out, come in on. No, you on the go. No, you on the go.
Now, if you remember where we left off with the Battle Beast, the Battle Beast episode, aka if I look at Invincible terms, I believe that's episode 5. When the title was That Actually Hurt. Yeah, so everything pretty much goes to canon after the Battle Beast fight, which I said that Cecile tried to recruit Clark, but no one knows that Clark is Superboy, because like when he turns like legally an adult, that's when he changes his name to Superman. So he's still Superboy for reasons, so yeah, after that, after Clark politely declines Cecile's offer, he flies away, and that's where we left off. And now we opening up with the scene as as basically everybody's recovering from their injuries as Monster Girl and Black Samson being the ones that were really injured. So Monster Girl is currently in her monster form trying to heal her injuries, which is actually working. So that's working. And then we're gonna go into episode 6 where Mark, this is the episode where they go to the university, and Mark, Amber, and William also go to the university along with Clark, since Clark is he going to college. He wants to do something with his life. He just can't be a superhero all the time. Like obviously we know that he doesn't need food since he's under the sun and all that other stuff. Like, he really could live off the grid, but Clark's not like that. I think in all honesty, he just wants to be able to live a life that his Jonathan and Martha would be proud of. So we're gonna say he's going to school for what should I say? I don't want to make him a reporter. I want to make him something like different, right? Something like uniquely different. We're gonna say he's going to school for car mechanics, right? Yeah, let's do that, because he really likes cars. His first car was Jonathan's old school Dodge. If you ever watched Smallville, Jonathan had that motherfucking Dodge, bro. That shit looked clean as fuck, all black with the leather seats. So yeah, that's his car that he always riding in. So it pretty it gets up quick too. Like he got, let's say I'm gonna say he got like a stage 2 engine in that bitch, man. You know what I'm saying? You know, he didn't lower the suspension, but he got some grip ass tires, some a muffler and resonator delete on that shit, and make it choppy every time he start that shit up and it go in idle mode and it start chopping. So yeah, that's what so we're gonna make this Superman a little bit different. He's into cars more so than the reporter side. So he goes to school along with Amber. He goes with what is it? Yeah, he goes with, but for this one, what is it? What? Eve. It's Eve, Amber, William, and Mark that go to do, and Clark. Yeah, I just had to make sure I had all 5 of them there. And so after that, they everything pretty much goes to canon until one of those cyborg / humanoid, I think that's like the first version of the Reaniman that came, and it was like pretty much destroying everything, which everybody started running away. And then that's when Clark ran, like tried to run into the same direction but like veer off into the crowd so he could like put on his makeshift super suit, right? And so after that he finds a bathroom that was empty, and then he basically speed changes and then blitzes outside to face the cyborg. And then that's when Mark comes out of his costume after he changes, since he really doesn't want the whole public knowing his identity. Which I feel like, when I was watching that, I really feel like, excuse me, I really feel like the whole public already knows his identity. So I don't even know why he try hiding it sometimes. But I digress. I'm just like yapping at this point. But that's basically how I feel about it. I feel like he just can't hide it really good, because his mask is always breaking off and shit. Like bro, like, I need you. This man needs to get a suit that's pretty durable. But yeah, I digress. I'm not gonna talk about that no more. But yeah, so Superman shows up basically running, right? So he just runs, right? And so after he blitzes, right, he stands there in front of them, and then that's when Mark also comes flying in fast, and then he lands. And then that's when Mark, as Invincible says, he says, "Superboy, I didn't expect you to be here." That's when Clark, as Superboy, says that, yeah, I didn't expect you to be here too, Invincible. And then that's when Clark said, he was like, even though I can be a superhero for my time, I have to try to indulge in something. So I just can't be a hero all the time and not make any living when outside of superhero. I want a life like a normal person too. And then that's when Mark said the same thing basically. And then that's when they both begin to fight the first version of the Reaniman, with the Reaniman basically giving belt the ass to Mark for about a good minute. And then that's when Superboy came in and started punching him in the stomach, in the abdominal area. And then that's when the Ant-Man punched Clark back, and Clark noticed that his punches are like kind of hurting because he has like reinforced armor inside of it. So that's when Superman backflipped, right? He over here backflipping, and then he just landed gracefully, as that's when Mark said got back next to him saying what's the plan. And then that's when Clark said used his he told Mark that his body is reinforced with some heavy hard metal armor. And then that's when Mark says, so what do you suppose we should do? And then that's when Superboy asked Clark. Oh my gosh, I'm gonna just say Clark and Mark because I'm confusing myself right now. So basically, that's when Clark said that to minimize casualties, they'll just have to take this battle somewhere else. And so that's when Superman blitz, right? He just, it's like every time he used that super speed, it's like a reddish blue blur, right? But since he has this makeshift suit on, it's like a blackish, yellowish, and a little bit of white in there. And he just blitzes, right? Faster than the speed of sound, comes with the fucking, like, basically like a right uppercut from hell from the stomach, right? And just puts it in him, and then he just basically blows back as Clark is basically using that powerful punch that he did to change the battle arena, as Clark squatted on the ground and flew and took off with Mark following behind. And then that's when Superman did his iconic when he punched in the villain in the sky, just boom. That's what he did. Like, think of Man of Steel when he was giving Zod that fucking work, bro. That's exactly what he was doing. So he flying, boom, 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 and then that's when Mark come up with the alley-oop, flying behind him. And then that's when Mark grabs the first version of the Ant-Man by the leg, swings him around onto the ground, and then that's when the Ant-Man basically makes a huge ass crater in the ground, as they're in the forest somewhere. I don't know where exactly. They're just in the forest, right? And so that's when they both casually flew down as the Ant-Man jumped at Clark, and then that's when Clark used his laser vision as he shot the Ant-Man down, and then like he shot him down, and then he just like looked up. So it's basically like a laser shooting at the Ant-Man, and then as Clark is looking around or like shooting it up, like the laser beam went down and up, and he's still on the laser beam, so he basically just cut across the ground with that shit, and then the Ant-Man's laying there. And then that's when they realize that the Ant-Man is still like a human. And so that's when the person that was being controlled as the Ant-Man said, please kill me, because he didn't want to be like this. And so that's when Superman was against it, but that's when Superman was against it, but then that's when the Ant-Man, I don't know his name, but he was like, it's okay, I want this. I don't want to live like a monster, being controlled by somebody to do their bidding. I'm tired of it. And so that's when Clark said, okay, I'll give you a peaceful death. And since he had his permission, Clark didn't feel too bad. He just felt compassion and remorse for the person that was controlled, because he wanted to help him, but he was like, there's no helping me, like, kill me before I turn back into that thing again. And so that's when Clark basically used his laser vision on a microscopic level to peacefully lobotomized them to the point that he slowly started dying, right? So he basically just did like some like head surgery, as he cut everything off. And then as he slowly started losing consciousness, the person said thank you, and he slowly passes away. And then that's that. And then that's when Mark screams for Cecile, and he teleports, as he was like, what is this? Who did this? And then that's when Cecile acts like he doesn't know what happened or who did it. But that's when Superman said, a man died today. He wasn't even fully under their control, and yet he had to do something that he never thought he would have to do. He was like, maybe I need to take things a little bit more serious. He was like, I just need some time away. And then that's when Mark and Clark agree that they're gonna find whoever did this to that person and stop them. And so they both fly back, which Superman flies straight up, trying to not give his location away to think that he's at the college and stuff. But yeah. So after that, everything else pretty much goes to canon with Mark and Clark basically starting a investigation of who started these who started these cyborg humanoid experiments, right? And as that happens, we come back to home, which Debbie, aka Mark's mom, is getting more suspicious of Omni-Man, as she basically confirms herself in that episode that Omni-Man did murder the Guardians of the Globe, right? And so everything pretty much goes to canon of episode 6, and then we hop into episode 7, which we cut to Omni-Man and Immortal fighting each other in public. As Omni-Man is about to deal the final blow, we rewind back to 24 hours, right? So basically the day started off with Mark basically doing whatever he does, as that episode goes to canon. But Omni-Man still gets attacked by those government agents, and he gets eliminated by those government agents. Omni-Man stops those government agents, right? And he also I think he does kill Donald Ferguson too. Correct me if I'm wrong on that, but that increases tensions with the GDA. And as that was happening, Mark was doing his Invincible stuff while Clark was in the in the Fortress of Solitude and like the Arctic, trying to figure out what type of other species there are in this in the galaxy, or maybe neighboring galaxies. So he's just reading upon Kryptonian knowledge, and he sees the Viltrumites, as is stated to be that the Viltrumites were, again, one of the Kryptonians, arch nemesis. And then he's just reading a bunch of, he's basically just reading a bunch of other species, about the Thraxans, the Flaxans, the, what else? Alan the Alien, the intergalactic, whatever, I forgot what he works for. I think it's like the intergalactic peace, something like that. But I just gotta he's right. I forgot. All right, it just came to my head. He's the evaluation officer for the Coalition of Planets. So that's where he fits in. He's basically just like, Alan the Alien is basically just watching over Earth on the moon, pretty much. And he, as that was happening, Clark's just reading on about the, evaluate the Coalition Planet Alliance and stuff. Sorry, my voice, not my voice, my, what is it? My throat got dry for a second, so that's my fault. But yeah, so Clark is just like studying up on everything, and that's when Clark was reading about the Viltrumites' weaknesses, as he was wondering what the Star Scourge is, and is basically that's when Jor-El's hologram said that it was a bioweapon engineered to kill the Viltrumites after they basically pillaged one of their not pillaged, but went to war with one of their neighboring allies and took over their planet. So they went into like a war, and basically Clark's just like basically re-educating himself on the whole Viltrumite slash Kryptonian war that they had, and he knows the weakness of them, which he doesn't want to. He's not going to use the Star Scourge. Obviously, he doesn't want to release a freaking virus just for no reason. But he also reads that it was a question mark ability, that maybe Viltrumites are weak to like sound frequencies, or maybe if you have a concussed a loud sound, it may weaken them due to certain vibrations that can rupture their organs and make them bleed. But that it was like in a notes section, so it's like to be determined basically. But they were basically just saying that Viltrumites can get stronger, but it's also theorized that a Kryptonian under a yellow sun, even the strongest Kryptonian may not the strongest Kryptonian, even the strongest Viltrumite may not be enough to match the might of one yellow sun Kryptonian, as it may take 10 or maybe even 15 of them to be to actually put down a Kryptonian under the yellow sun. And even then, those notes are still like in a question mark to be determined type factor, right? And so after that, that's when we cut to Cecile and like basically a watchtower notion, and he basically deploys a modified versions of reanimated soldiers to subdue Omni-Man. And that's when Mark gets crossed enough crosshairs, unaware of Omni-Man's his father's betrayal to humanity. And then that's when Clark, since Clark's already since he's at the Fortress of Solitude, he's already tapped in every single news station, news channel, camera, and even underground radios. So as he was just doing his research upon everything, he sees that there was some breaking news, and then he full-sized it, and then it was basically let's say about 7 Reaniman fighting Omni-Man and Mark. And then that's when he Clark decides that he needs to intervene, and this could be his chance to actually maybe prove to Omni-Man that he's not a threat. But little do they know, things are gonna get really difficult from there. And so that's when Superman puts the news back, at small screens, everything again. And then that's when he made an opening every time he needs to fly out, because he's always so he just looks up, try to find an opening, and there's like plenty of openings, but he has like his favorite opening. So I don't know why he has his favorite opening. It's either through the way he came in, or he just shoots up in the air. So he sees the opening that he usually takes out and crouches. The ground begins to shake and the snow begins to swirl around him, and he takes off. And then that's when he shoots out the Fortress of Solitude, right? And as he was shooting out, he breaks the sound barrier, and then he just speeds up to the city where they need him at. And now we as he was flying there, we cut back to Omni-Man and Mark, fighting the Animan, destroying the buildings and everything. Omni-Man put about like 2 of them down, so there's like 5 more to go. Mark is handling 3, while Omni-Man is handling 2, but Omni-Man is like basically putting belt to ass while Mark is struggling. So as the Animan was beating Mark's ass, that's when Mark begins to lock in and actually starts like throwing hands with him and pushing him back. And then that's when one of them jumped on his back, and then another one tackled him off the building into the ground, and then they start beating him. And that's when Mark and Mark, the Reaniman, and Omni-Man hear that's when they hear the freaking that's when they hear the sound barrier being broken again, as they see Mark realize there was only one other person that could fly like that. And then that's when Mark says, "Superboy, you're here." And then that's when but Clark comes in and takes one of the Animans off of Mark, as he basically pushes him into the ground, making like a huge fucking like a huge crater, right? Like a dugout crater, as Clark is just punching him over and over and over and over again. And then he just grabs his head and then just sticks it into the dirt as he's just dragging him along. And then that's when that's when he stops, and then the man slowly gets back up, and then that's when he tries to punch him, but everything is in slow motion as since everything is so slow motion, as it was in slow motion, it's like Clark's just looking at his fist as he just, slightly steps to the side, and then pushes, like uses like a palm push towards the Ant-Man on the side, and he just flies into a car. And then that's when that's when Clark uses his laser vision as he shoots the gas tank of the car, and it kind of blows up, which kind of put the Ant-Man down for the count, right? And so that's when Mark defeats his by shutting down the power cord and basically putting his hand through it. And then that's when Omni-Man does the same with his, but in a more brutal style, as he just takes both of their heads and just like clashes them together and keeps doing it until they both stop fighting. And then as that battle is going on, the Mauler twins are like in a secret bunker, and they in a secret bunker, and Immortal Man, I think the Immortal, I think that's what he's called. Yeah, I think that's what he's called. The Immortal basically resurrect the Mauler twins resurrect the Immortal Man. And so as soon as he is resurrected and realizes his body is still intact, he basically beats the dog shit out the Mauler twins, right? And he basically wants revenge to what Omni-Man did to him, right? And so after he basically breaks out the bunker, he's trying to fly in the air to see where Omni-Man is so he could get his revenge. And so he's flying around, because I'm gonna say he's on the other side of the world for this, so he kind of has a long way to go. I really don't know how fast Immortal Man can fly, but I would say he's pretty fast. So excuse me. So pretty much everything goes to canon with that, as as Nolan just got finished defeating some villains from another world, we'll say that. And then as he's flying, that's when Immortal Man comes out of nowhere and punches the dog shit out of Omni-Man, right? And he basically, as that fight was going on, Immortal Man basically exposes what Nolan did, as Immortal Man exposes him to the world that Omni-Man was the one that actually killed the Guardians of the Globe, right? He killed the Guardians of the Globe, and he tried to kill him, but he is alive again. And that's when Clark and Mark are, stunned that actually happened, because they would have never expected Omni-Man to be like that, because, he's a hero, and he's been a hero for like more than a decade for Earth, right? And even though he hasn't worked with the Guardians of the Globe before like that, right, he still helped them out when they needed it. So everybody in the world thought they were on like some mutual agreement teammate stuff, but it really wasn't like that. So Immortal Man's getting his get back, but then that's when Nolan locks in and grabs his fist and just like crushes it. And then basically he basically puts his hand through his chest again, and he kills Immortal Man in front of the public in a public confrontation. And then after that, that's when Mark begins to go after Omni-Man to ask him just like why. And then as he was doing that, that's when Nolan goes straight to the city, as he reveals that he's a Viltrumite agent and he was basically telling them that their plan was his plan was to quote unquote give a false illusion of a hero, which he was actually an agent planning an invasion the whole time. And then that's when as that tone, he was trying to persuade Mark, to to join them. But we already know in the other universes, Mark does join Omni-Man, and one of them even kills Omni-Man. But yeah, we'll get into that later. So after that, yeah, he tries to persuade Mark into conquering the Earth, but since Mark was raised by Debbie, he has those human morality instilled in him. And so after Mark refuses, he basically him and Omni-Man begin to go at it. They begin to fight, which is a one-sided beatdown, as Mark was basically getting beaten to dog shit, basically, pretty much what goes in canon. But this time, after Omni-Man exposed himself, that's when Clark flew from home, as Martha was she was kind of worried because she was kind of worried about him because she felt like that he wasn't strong enough to deal with Omni-Man, but she wasn't stopping him exactly because she knew she couldn't stop him at the end of the day, because who's going to stop Superman, really? Be for real, bro. Who's going to stop him? But anyway, as I was saying, that's when he quickly put on his outfit, and then he blasted off trying to go to the city. And then we flash back to Mark and Omni-Man fighting, as Mark is trying to punching Omni-Man, but Omni-Man's just eating them shits. He's just not even phased. And he was like, this is what you could do after a year of training with your powers. This is the best that you can do. And then that's when Omni-Man basically starts beating the dog shit out of Mark. They go to the subway, and then that's when Omni-Man holds Mark. And then this time, instead of that, the original scene that happened when Mark was basically killing everybody trying to catch them and stuff, that's when Superman basically pushes Omni-Man and Mark out the way of the train, as he brings them back up to the surface, and they both crash land. As that's when Omni-Man basically lands, right? And so Mark gets back up, and that's when Omni-Man grabs Mark again, and they begin to fly away, basically flying in the air, having an air battle, which Omni-Man is winning usually. And that's when as they were flying higher and higher, Clark looked up, and then that's when Omni-Man was like, you stay out of this unless you want to end up like him. And then that's when he basically blitzed to a mountain, and they basically fly up in the air, and then they crash in a mountain, which Clark follows, right? Clark follows, and he shoots off after them. And then that's when Omni-Man was basically telling Mark to giving this classic line, think, Mark, think. And then that's when Superman basically comes in and crash lands into Omni-Man, saying that he's not gonna let him hurt his son or anybody else, and there's no alien invasion happening on his watch. And then that's when Omni-Man gets back up, basically his outfit's a little bit bloodied up and scuffed, but nothing too major, as Omni-Man says, you really think you could defeat me? And then that's when Superboy was like, defeat you? If I have to use every breath to stop you and what you were doing, then so be it. He was like, you were a hero. People looked up to you. Why did you do the things that you did? For what? What did you do that for? He just wanted to know why. Same thing with Mark. He just wanted to know why. And then that's when he said, I'm not subjugated to answer to you. And then that's when Omni-Man blitzes at Superman, but then that's when Superman dodges, as it was kind of slowed, but since, they kind of have the same powers and ability, and Superman has to grow and become more grown for his more defined feats and powers to come, he dodges, and then that's when Omni-Man is surprised that he got hit. So after he got hit, Omni-Man flew back and he caught himself, but he was like, he just like, grabbed his jaw and like kind of fixed it. He was like, wow, now that is what I call a punch. And then that's when they begin fighting, as Clark is just like, trying to hang in there with Omni-Man. But since Omni-Man has a lot more experience of fighting, he can kind of read Clark like an open book. But it's also that his powers is kind of like throwing him off in his speed, because even though Omni-Man has the advantage of experience in fighting, his Clark's abilities and speed and more so durability and greater strength is what's giving Omni-Man, like, it's basically like evening out. So Omni-Man is basically in a state that he's like trying to like basically fighting Superman, right? Basically fighting Clark, but each time Clark hits, but he's also learning that Clark is actually adapting a little bit faster than usual. He's adapting to his fighting. And so when Clark hits Omni-Man, it's basically like he's adapting. Hold on. It's basically like when Clark hits Omni-Man is like, wow, like he is a lot more stronger than what I gave him credit for. And when he uses his speed to further his momentum for his punches, that's what really, gets him, as that's is really hurting Omni-Man a little bit. So Omni-Man is like in a defensive counterattack fighting now, because he was like, if I try to go blow for blow straight slugfest, then he thinks he actually might lose to Clark. So that's when he's just like dodging and then just counterattacking, which he grabs Clark by his jacket at the end, and then he just basically swings him around and around, and then just throws him into the mountain, which Clark basically flies into the mountain, making a huge crater. As Mark was like, stop, he doesn't have anything to do with this, he's just. And then that's when Omni-Man was like, you made your choice, Mark, so now I have to make one for you. He said, what is another 500 years? I can always make another son who would do what is right for the Viltrum Empire. And then that's when he said, in 1,000 years, what will you have? Or I think he said 500. I think it's one of those two. And then that's when Mark said, I'll still have you, Dad. I'll still have you. And then as he heard that, that's when Superman got pissed, saying that you would destroy your family for this. He said, you would betray people like this. He was like, I thought you were one of me, but you're nothing like me. You're just like them. And then that's when Clark was like, I would have thought you would have done better, but you just proved to the whole world that you're no better. And then that's when his bioelectricity just began to basically like go around him, as it's basically like this bluish electrical aura around him. And then that's when Superman's eyes glow like blue, because like he's upset, and then they get the red for like heat vision. And then that's when he uses heat vision on Omni-Man, and that's when Omni-Man basically takes it to the chest, like he just flies off and then just lands on the ground hard. And then that's when Clark stands up, and then he looks at Omni-Man, and Omni-Man looks at him. He's like, it looks like you really must want to die. And then that's when Omni-Man shoots forward towards Clark, and then that's when Clark dodges, and then he just gives him the meanest right uppercut I've ever seen in my life. It's like he sidestepped so perfectly, like on some anime Ultra Instinct shit, bro. Like, on some Sasuke 3-Tomoe Sharingan shit. Like, he sidestepped perfectly and delivered one of the meanest right uppercuts you ever seen in your life. So he gave him the meanest right uppercut. Came down with he shot up, right? Came down with the double, he took both of his hands, clapped it together, make sure it was tight, hold them bitch up in the air, and then slam them in Omni-Man's back. And then as Omni-Man caught himself before he hit the ground, that's when Superman unlocked Frozen Breath. And so instead of it coming out like a frozen breath, it's basically like a beam. It's basically like a frozen cryo beam that he shot. And so he just takes a deep breath. He was like, and then it's like this frozen beam that just shoots at Omni-Man, as you know, it kind of like freezes his chest area, but he kind of like punches it off, as he was like, it really did hurt him. Not gonna hold you, like, it really did hurt him. Those smart atoms only carry him so far. And so that's as he was busy fighting Clark. Mark's words kept ringing in his head, and he couldn't, like, I think that's when he broke. And so after he broke, that's when Clark was about to hit Omni-Man, but he realized Omni-Man didn't want to fight no more. And so he's basically not gonna fight an enemy that has given up. So after the last punch, he just he turned away. He got punched, right, and he flew off into space. As that's when after he flew into space, Mark was just lying there all bloodied up and bruised. And then that's when Superboy came towards Clark with his suit is kind of ripped up, you know, nothing too major, right? And so after that, that's when you know, Clark floats down to Mark, as he you know, extended his hand, and he was like, come on. And then that's when Mark reached for his hand, and he helped Mark up. And then he was like, I'm sorry for what happened. He was like, you know, I don't want you to think, he was like, I know you might be a Viltrumite, but you're not one of them. You're your own person, like my dad told me. He was like, take the time that you need. If you need, you know, a break from, you know, like, if you need a break from, you know, if you need a break from, like, what I'm trying to say, for, like, superheroing, he'll take over. But Clark is letting him know that he's doing a good job at being a hero, even though he may feel like he isn't. And then that's when he was like, thanks, Superboy. And then that's when, Clark was like, actually, the name is Clark. He was like, Clark. He was like, as in, we went to the same college, Clark, in the same school. He was like, yeah, that's it. And then that's when, so that's when he learns about, you know, they both exchange identities, right? And so basically, after the world learns about Omni-Man's betrayal, the Guardians and Adam Eve assist in relief efforts, and Cecile heads over to cover up Omni-Man's civilian identity to protect the Grayson family. And that's when Mark begins to try to make things right with Amber, and along with William too. And then that's when Clark reveals himself as the mysterious person that saved Adam Eve when she was fighting her brothers in their origin story. And then that is going to be the beginning of Clark and Adam Eve slowly building a relationship, because she always wondered who he was. And then that's when so this is basically how it played out. So, you know, after the relief efforts, Mark just goes to fly and tries to make things right with Amber, leaving Adam leaving Eve, standing there and basically, what is it? Basically leaving her and thinking to herself that maybe, since things are over with Mark and Amber, he could try to she could try to be with them. And then that's when she tries to go see Mark, but she sees that Amber is there, and then she's happy, but at the same time she's sad. So she goes fly off somewhere else, and then that's when she ends up seeing Clark into the she ends up seeing Clark in the building, not in the building, but like standing on a construction crane, as he's just admiring the city, even though it has its dangers. He wouldn't change anything to just keep protecting it. And then that's when Eve was like, "It's funny seeing you out here. She said, you usually don't, come out unless, it's like an invasion or, we ask for assistance." He was like, "Yeah." He was like, "I guess you are right." He said, that, as he really likes playing, he likes doing things on his own terms, which he still does, but at the same time, he just wants to make his presence more known and not just be like a, every once in a blue moon hero that shows up. And then that's when Eve was like, "So," she was like, "I still have that question for you." And then that's when Clark was like, "Yeah, what's up? You can ask me anything." She was like, "Well, if you remember that bet that we made a while ago, saying that if I could beat you in a race while we fly, or not while we fly, but if, it was like a silly bet that they made, and Clark was serious about it, so he made good on his word. I'm not going to sit up here. I'm just trying to throw it for plot convenience so we could get what we want, right?" And so Superman remembered, and he was like, "Yeah." He was like, "If I called, right, you won the bet too." And then that's when she was like, "So, she said, "So can you tell me if you were really that person?" And then he was like, "Of course." And so, he took off his thing that was covering his face. And then he was like, "You're not going to believe it." But then he put on the glasses, and then he takes them off. He was like, "Yep." He was like, "That's me." And then he also said that he said that was him, right? And then he said that what is it? He said that he was the one that was also there when she was fighting her brothers, and it was kind of wrong of him to leave like that, and she just never got to thank him. And so he said, "This is your chance to thank me properly." So that's when Eve wanted to thank him. And then he was like, "Well, now you know my identity." He's like, "My real name is Clark Kent." He was like, "Yeah, so that's who I am, Superboy." He was like, and then that's when she was like, "My name is Samantha Eve Wilkins, but you could just call her Eve." And then that's when he said, "Eve, I like that name." And then that's when they basically fly off into the moonlight, basically chatting up and talking. And yeah, that's that's basically what happens. And so after that, after they were flying and chatting, and then that's when Alan the alien comes, and then that's when he says that he's looking for Mark, right? And then after he said that, that's where we're gonna leave this what if off. So we're gonna hop into season 2 later. I hope y'all enjoyed that what if, man. It's almost an hour. My voice is kind of hoarse. Like, that shit is hoarse. Wait, I got some water over here. Hold on. Hold on. Okay. We good now. So basically after that, you better not do it, bro. So basically after that, after that happened, right? He's looking basically Mark, not Mark, Alan the alien's looking for Mark to warn him about the impeding Viltrumite invasion. So that after that, like I said, I'm leaving the what if off over here. I appreciate y'all for all the love and support y'all showed me, man. We had 80 subs, man. I would have never thought that would happen, bro, for real. But so I appreciate all y'all for all the love and support y'all been showing me, man. And yeah, man, I don't know what else to say. Oh yeah, I still will be continuing what is it I just had it in my head, bro. I still will be continuing what is it, Sakuna X Young Justice, and I will be getting back into Jobless Reincarnation X Gojo. So other than that, man, I really appreciate y'all for all the I really appreciate y'all for all the love and support. My bad, I'm over here just stuttering over my words, man. But yeah, like, y'all really making this shit pop off, bro. Like, I don't know what else to say, but just thank you, man. Like, I really do appreciate y'all. And like, y'all really just goated for real, man. Like, y'all really just like GOAT status people, man. I really appreciate that. But yeah, man, I just hope y'all enjoyed this what if. Season 2 will be dropping soon. I will do an hour special for season 2, so just stay tuned for that. I think I'm gonna just since this is like the season finale of it, I guess, for season 1, I'm gonna just do a few Sakuna back-to-back Sakuna Gojo uploads, so I hope y'all fucking with that. And then I will be doing the Jobless X Gojo reincarnation uploads, and then once I get about like 4 of those, once I push out about like 4 Sakuna ones, I'll do like 2 Gojo ones, and then I'll start season 2 of Superman X Invincible. So other than that, I appreciate y'all for all the love and support. Just go ahead and run up the other what ifs, the other parts of Invincible X Superman and Sakuna Gojo if y'all haven't seen it yet, man. Check out the high school DxD movies. I got season 1 ready, and season 2 will be coming for season 2 will be coming for the movie too. And so yeah, that's pretty much it, man. Like, just run that shit up, man. I appreciate all y'all. I don't know if I should continue Noctis in a high school DxD universe, man, but I might continue Shiro, though. I might do the Shiro one, since, you know, everybody likes Fate. Fate's fire. So yeah, but without any further ado, man, I appreciate y'all for all the love and support y'all been showing me, man. I couldn't thank y'all enough. And this is Redux What Ifs signing out.